Hi guys, it's Lisa, and welcome to Made It Con class. This is the Peekaboo cards. Let us know when you get here. Please tell us hello. We're going to try to do an informal roll call. So if your username is something different than your actual name you would have bought your tickets under, let us know that. So if you're Crafty Mama, but your name's Kathy, please let us know. My mom is here. You'll see her as a moderator, and Kathy is also going to be here as moderator. Oh, I see B Sparkly here and Rhonda. Can you hear me okay? Is everything good? If it's not, please, I don't talk very loud. It may make it on to me. You have to turn that volume up, but I'll try and do that. Hey, Kathy, she's here. Thank you. Um, I started early to make sure everything's okay, so we'll chit chat for a while and we'll get started right in 10 minutes, loud and clear. Thank you so much. That really helps me. What else do I need to say first? If you have questions, of course, during the class, please let us know. We want to answer everything that we can. Like I said, my mom's in the room here with me. You'll hear her tell us her name is Ari. Oh, all my classes are recorded, all three that I'm teaching at MadeAcon um, this weekend, so you'll get those links next week. But we should have no problems finishing the project today. This one is going to be a little easier. Well, I guess I could put just my face on. This one's going to be a little easier class, I guess. We're going to be talking about color theory, and we're going to be talking about this particular way to put together a peekaboo card, and everything's cut out for you. So all you're really going to be doing is putting things together. But of course, you saw you have a cutting guide so that you can go back to it and make these again if you want to. Something else I want to point out, if you love Cricut and you want to cut some more of these out, there is a Cricut file on my Facebook page, and that'll be linked in the details of this video below. It's already there. How you get to my Facebook group, Lisa Wise Designs. Hey, Michelle and Sue. Oh, Sue. She's saying hello to Mom. Oh, good. Amy can hear me. Wonderful. So, if any of you do not know who I am, and my connection to May, I'll tell you that really quick. I am from South Alabama originally. All my family on both sides are from a small town, about an hour from the beach. So we're right in the very bottom of Alabama in Geneva County, and we moved to central Alabama, 2.5 hours north. I'm in Clanton, where May shop is, and my very first friend in middle school that I met the very first day of school was this beautiful lady here. And let me turn the camera back here. If anyone recognizes this really cute lady here. So I couldn't find a picture of her and I together back then, but this picture was taken in the same time period. So this is a middle school me with my Letterman jacket, and then this is May, which I knew her as Amy then. Isn't that absolutely cuteness? So this is us just a few weeks ago together at her shop. About maybe 5 years or so ago, we made another connection after all these years of our kids growing up over crafting, and she was gracious enough to ask me to teach scrapbooking classes at her Made It Con. So that's kind of how we know each other. And I will show you something real quick. Don't tell her I showed you this. She might see it later. This is her. This is me. And I told the story last May at Con. I did not keep the husband, but I kept the relationship with May years and years later. And there's my beautiful sister right here. She is in Memphis right now, in Graceland. I am super, super jealous. She's not even an Elvis fan, and I am. Oh, well. All right, I'm going to put these pictures in a safe spot as I drop everything here. Any questions before we get started? I lived in Ozark. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many times we have been shopping in the Ozark area. There was a store named Ozark something. I can't remember. We used to buy Buster Brown shoes in Dothan or Ozark. Sometimes when I was growing up, I remember that was like the only thing that we would wear. So funny. Oh, thank you, Kathy. You're so sweet. Let's see what time it is. All right, so we've got a few more minutes to chat and see. Has everybody been having a good Made It Con? I see that lots of you're shaking. You need something?
I can't find this lady. It don't matter. Go on.
I see a lot. Oh, I've been watching some of Brenda's classes and May's classes today. So cute. Brenda she can make something out of nothing. It is unbelievable. She's so cute. She's one in our little group that gets together. We call them the Charming Chilton Chicks, but we haven't gotten together since February. I guess we all know why. That is, she's so sweet. She keeps us on task for sure. Okay, so the things you might want to pull out for this class, all this came in your kit. I'm going to show you kind of what we've got for the cards, what we're going to go to. But in case you want to go grab some things, what I'm going to be using, I am going to be doing stamping. So you want to get a couple of acrylic blocks big enough, to stamp the critters. And I think mine are 2 inches. Let me see. Mine's 2 1/4, the acrylic block that I'm using. I'm going to be stamping with VersaFine in Onyx Black. So we're going to do our stamping first, so we can kind of put it off to the side to make sure it's completely dry before we color. And if you like to clean your stamps as you go, I've got some really old stuff here that I like to clean with my stamps. And we're going to be using any type of glue that you want. Doesn't have to be tape or doesn't have to be liquid glue. I'm going to use art glitter glue. So we're just going to be kind of putting this kit together. So art glitter glue is great for that. And then since we're going to be using colored pencils, if you have a pencil sharpener at the ready, it's not necessary, but I really like mine to stay sharp. So I've got a pencil sharpener here. A couple other just small items I'm going to use as we go along is a pencil. And if you have a white pen, I'm just going to be putting dots in the eyes of my critters. I really like that look. I think it helps kind of wake them up, people say, or bring them alive. So anyway, that's just a little step at the end. So I am going to be doing that in case you want to grab a white pen. And I think that's pretty much going to be everything. I'm going to move my mouse out of the way. Everyone good? I don't want to start until exactly 4 o'clock just in case. But we did want to come on early just in case, right? I don't want to say more than that, but I know there's been you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen. You want to have a time. I do have an Etsy shop I want to go ahead and tell you about. There's links down below too, and I will show you, I'll show you some of the things that I'm going to have for sale when we have kind of midway through this class as we go. So let's go ahead and get our stuff out and get started. Let's go through the kit. I'm going to put this over here to the side.
You got 11 and...
Okay. I'm going to give you a choice today. You can stamp along with me and color, or I've also given you this sheet of paper that already has it stamped and it's a photocopy. It may not be the best quality, but if you wanted to practice, it's on the same type of paper that's called a vellum by Nina, and I have that somewhere here. Yeah, it's a vellum Bristol by Nina, 67 pounds. So this piece of paper is the same thing as your die cut that we're going to stamp and color on. So anyway, this is, if you'd rather fussy cut the circles out, you could color this one, or you can stamp along with me and color that, or you can use this one for a separate card when we get done here. There's different possibilities, or you can use this one to practice on if you want to practice your coloring before you do the other. So I'm just trying to give you, just a little extra. So if you did not want to stamp today, you can practice on this one. So what we're going to be doing today is coloring 2 critters. So go ahead and look at your options now of which ones you want to color. I'm going to be doing these little hamsters or gerbils. I think they're hamsters. I'm not real sure. My daughter always gets on to me that I should know the difference, but I think gerbils are smaller, I think, anyway. And then the other one is these turtles, and I really have fallen in love with the turtles. Every card I've made for practice had the turtles on it, and I think I just like to color it. I think it's really fun to color. But you can pick the cats or the rabbits, of course, anything you want to do. We're just going to be doing 2 today, and this is what it'll look like once we're done. The predominant one will be on the front, and then when you open it, of course, it changes to the next one. And so there's my little turtle here. So that's where we need, 2 critters, and then we're going to be stamping, 2 sentiments here. The BFF, I got your back, and of course you can choose something else. And then on the second one, this is a kind of a nod to May, of course, with the leopard, the black, the red, the white. And this one, we're not going to be doing the color, and we're going to let the sentiments change. So this one says, BFF, thanks for being there. And then when you open it, it says, I'm lucky to have you. And we have banners for both of these cards where you can sign them. See, it's black paper. I'm going to let my window down just a little bit. It's very bright in here. And we're not going to be doing this one, but I just wanted to show you, if you were to use these stamps again with white paper, this is kind of what it would look like, how you could color it, and how it could make, you know, a big difference in the look of it by doing it in white. Everybody still there?
Yeah.
Everybody's listening. I know yesterday I was like, oh, the chat got quiet, but everybody's listening, I know. Okay, so you have this. Like I said, you're going to have a choice. You can color here, or you can color in the die cuts in this packet that's here. You've got a big thing of foam. Oh, thank you, Kathy, for the critters. You get a whole thing of 24 colored pencils. And this is a really good name brand, and I was very specific that I really wanted at least 24 colors so you had enough to blend, because I really wanted to go over that in class. So Vince did really good procuring this. And then you get this little extra. It's a Sharpie that's got an ultra fine tip and a fine tip, and we'll be using both of those. You just got some graph paper just to have. And always from me, well, usually always a cutting guide. And I don't know if I showed you these little black pieces. You should have 6. There should be 2 of each. One that has 1 hole in it, or 2, sorry, because they're all the same. 2 has 1 hole, 2 has 2 holes, and 2 has none. And then this cute stamp set by Joy Claire. Love this. And you can see the difference in this one and the well-loved one that I've been using. Very different. See. Yes, I've used this one a lot, and I've even cleaned them, I promise. So I'm going to be using mine that's well-loved and keep this one off to the side. But that's what's in your kit. All right, so I'm going to kind of move this out of the way. What we're going to be doing starting with is we're going to stamp, because we want it to have time to dry. So grab your little bag of goodies, and then if you want to, I'm going to get my graph paper just to have underneath there, and my cutting guide. And the rest of this I'm going to kind of put to the side. If you want to remake this, like I say, on page 1 and page 2, it tells you how we got to this point. My mom that's in the room did all the cutting and scoring for us. Thank you for that. And we're going to be starting here in the middle of page 2 and do some stamping. So I'm going to open up this little bag, and we're going to go ahead and get our stamping out of the way. So what I'm looking for is these circles that's about 2 inches. You have 6 in your kit. You're going to need 4. So in case you mess up, you have 2 extras. So I'm going to put those there. Same thing on these little word bubbles. You're going to need 2 of those. They're in different sizes, and so you have extras just in case. I'm going to put those up there. Here's my extras here, and this is what I'm going to stamp on. The rest of this, I'm going to put back in my baggie or in my trusty little holder that I like to use when I'm crafting.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Dee. Glad you made it in here. All we're doing right now is kind of unpacking everything. I'm just going to put everything in. She's so sweet. All right, taking everything out of my goodie bag here. And all we're working on now is we need 4 circles, 2 extras, and then we need 1 of each of these word bubbles. And the word bubbles, you see how they've got that little tail on the bottom? You kind of want, when you stamp them, to be pointed towards your character. So you if that makes sense, see how this bubble points to the right? Because that's where your character is. Just make sure you got that in the right orientation. And I'm going to grab my stamps. Nancy's here. She's so sweet. Couple of blocks. Okay, so here's the big thing you have the big decision now is which critters are you going to color for this class. So you need 2. So I have to do the turtles. I don't know why, but they are just so much fun to color. So I'm going to push those down on my block. And then I'm going to do the hamster things just to be consistent with my product. But if you decide to do any of the other two, please make sure you post pictures. I would love to see them.
Lisa,
Uh-huh.
Barb got a book of stamps in her kit.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. I was going to mention that of the giveaways. So, if we were to meet in person, we were going to give away a couple of different items, and one of those was stamps, an actual book of stamps. We want to encourage you not to just make this, but to actually send it out to somebody. So, you're one of the lucky ones. There are either 4 or 5 of you who got a book of stamps inside your kit. So you're just one of the lucky ones, one of the door prizes we were going to give out. So these, of course, were super easy to mail, so we went ahead and put it in your kit. So thanks for letting me know that you got it. So we will be giving out a couple more door prizes of the little vacuums halfway through class and at the end of class. That's so cool to know she got it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping.
Christy got some too.
Yay! So I'm sure they're like, well, this was nice that was in my kit, but not everybody got it. I don't even know how much a book of stamps is. Are they $20 now? $10? I don't know. They're 20 stamps, so they'd be about, it's about $10 or so. That shows how much I send mail, right? The last time I think I sent out a bunch of mail was invitations to the baby shower. That's been a year or so ago. Okay, so starting with the turtle stamp. Oh, you're welcome, Barb. Now she can't say she never wins anything. So like I said, I'm going with, what is this called? Versifying Black Onyx. I know all of you in here more than likely are stampers or you wouldn't be here. But I have to do this. I have to go through the process just in case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stamp to the ink pad and I'm going to move it around. I'm not going to twist it and I'm not going to push in hard, but I'm going to go at different spots to make sure it's all inked up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get in the center of this circle. I'm going to go straight down, give it enough time to transfer, and come straight back up. As I hold my breath, right? That's why I have extra circles. Push it back up. Okay. Pretty good. I've got a little bit in the center that did not come out exactly. Nobody else would probably care, but that's one thing I'm going to use my pen for, so I'm okay with that one. Put Mr. Turtle here. I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to do the hamster / gerbil. These are so cute. I don't know who designed these at Joy Claire, but they hit a home run. I love these. Absolutely love these. Push down, they're such good. You know, it's hard to find like a best friend stamp set to send. Pull it back up. Ooh, that one's really good. That's really good. And I will zoom in when I start coloring. Remind me. If I don't, somebody remind me. Okay, so now, since that's done, I'm going to move on to my sentiments. Let me get this old thing out and start. I'm going to clean as I go. I do use squeaky clean, and I do think it makes a big difference. But I've had this same stamp cleaning set since, you know, they used to sell all those stamps from home.
Yeah.
Those little home shows. And I just keep washing it, and it just keeps going. All right, Mr. Turtle. I'm already losing area on my desk. I guess we all do that. And this little guy here. So the next one, we need to do the sentiments. So, of course, you can choose what you want to. But the one I'm doing is going to be, I'm so lucky to have you, and thanks for being there. I love this as besties. I used to say that all the time. Okay, I'm so lucky to have you. And thank you for being there. So same thing, still working on the circles. So these are going to be what changes on our card.
Did you know you can activate your squeaky clean with a spritz of water?
You can do what with a spritz of water?
Activate your squeaky clean with a spritz of water.
Like spritz the water on the cleaning pad? That's already, the squeaky clean that's already there, maybe?
Maybe she'll answer.
That's a good tip. All right, so thanks for being there. That looks pretty good.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea because it does kind of get foamy a little bit Maybe because it has so much on there that's built up. I haven't washed it in probably a year. This little pad.
That's a real good idea.
Mm-hmm. Just got me a couple new stamping blocks. I really like them. They're easy to hold on to. I won't advertise for them though. You can't get them at Maymay's. Oh yeah, that looks great. The stamping's going well today. You know, there's some days it doesn't matter what I do, I can't get a stamp to come out right. And sometimes, you know, I use the foam or whatever else is underneath it, still can't get it. So now I'm going to move on to my little word bubbles here. Move this over. And so what I'm using is I Got Your Back and BFF is what I am going to use. Okay. I'm really surprised the term BFF is still around. It has been around a long time. The first time I ever heard it was on an episode of Friends. And it was on the other night because Phoebe actually had to explain what BFF stood for. So I said so. I wonder if they came up with it or if it was just brand new at that time. Okay, so of course BFF's going to go on the smaller one. I love those shows. And it's so funny that my niece and nephew, who were 15, he's 15 years old, is just now discovering it and loves it just as much as we did 20 years ago. Just kind of stands the test of time. Okay, I'm going to go straight down, give it time to transfer, straight back up. Okay, pretty good. Everybody doing okay? So the tedious part is done, even though some people that might be their favorite part is the stamping piece. But I'm always afraid I'm going to mess it up. This over here. And so I can use this for my next project. Okay. So we're going to kind of move these out of the way to make sure that we are good to color them, because it takes a little bit of time for that to dry. So I'm going to bring out my black sheets of paper. You want all 6 of them. And I'm going to put this on my file folder. And just kind of move this out of the way. Alright, so that you can see what I'm doing on this black top here. I'll put down this piece of paper. Alright, so you need 1 of each type. So by that I mean you need, I'm going to be using the one that's got 1 circle in it, but it has already been embossed for you with these cute paw prints on it. Isn't that cute? And then you're going to need 1 that has 2 and 1 that has none. So we're going to do this twice because we have 2 cards. We're going to start with this one. So the one that has 2 circles in it, you can see right down the center, get it in the right light, you can see that there is a faint score line. If it's on the other side, you won't see a score line at all. So if you don't see it on one side, look on the other. I think Cricut cut this one for me, and it just doesn't score very deep. But anyway, it is there. So if you'll look for it and it will just start forming the score line for you if you just go easy. And you can see now it's in a perfect lined up, right, since Cricut did it. I'm going to grab bone folder. Just reinforce that fold. Okay, I'm going to turn it where the open is to the right, and then I'm going to put glue all over this in just a second. So the one that has 1 hole is going to line up over the one that we just folded like this. Just like that, once we put glue on it. Does that make sense? So this one, in the folded position, I'm going to put glue all over this and just put this one straight on top, you know, get it lined up as perfect as I can and glue it down. Okay? If you have questions, let me know as we go. Where's my glue? Here we go.
No question.
Good. So I think the hardest part to this one is actually getting it cut out. And like I said, if you use Cricut, it makes it perfect cuts for you. But you could do this. You could, if you had a die cuts, like a circle, you could actually say, I want to come down a 1/2 inch from the top, 1/2 inch, from the side, and make a cut. Then you could fold your paper, line it back up, cut through the second half, and then do the same thing here. It is possible to do with just a die cut machine or even a punch, because they have, I've got a 2-inch punch a big old hole. It'll I was gonna say it'll hurt too if you let it. I got my finger smashed in that thing not too long ago. So all I'm doing is trying to line this up quickly on the right hand side and making sure the holes line up. It pinched it so good. And then use my bone folder here. Okay. Alright, looks like everyone's doing okay. So on this front piece of paper, you'll see toward the end of the embossing, there's another score line. So you're just going to find that score line and gently score it. Let's see. It's 2 3/4 in from the side is where that score line was. So now this is what you have. This is what it looks like. There, I'm going to grab a drink of water. Okay. So to finish the mechanism, now we're going to flip it over to the back. And we have our flap here on the right hand side. And you see this last piece of paper has a really thin score line. It's only 1/4 inch. So go ahead and, oh, thank you, Christine, sorry. Go ahead and fold on that so you can get a really good view of that. It's really thin because this is really thin. What we're going to do is you can use tape if you have really thin tape or art glitter glue, and you're just going to run a bead of glue right where this fold is or on the flap. And with the flap down, we're going to butt it up all the way to the left of this card. So then when it opens, this is what you're going to see like this. And there's some really good pictures of this in the instruction guide. I'm not telling you kind of where I am, but let me see. Well, I'm in the middle of page 3. It actually says, glue the flap here and where to put your glue and what it's going to look like when you're done. So that's all I'm doing. Just folding that flap. With the folded position, I'm going to put glue. I'm going to butt it up to the left-hand side, so when I open it, you will see that little flap glued down. Okay? Show it again? Okay. So after I folded it in the folded position, I'm going to put glue, and then I'm going to place it down because I got my card turned over to the back. This little flap's on the left-hand side. So I'm going to just take a clip, kind of hold that flap down. Then I'm going to glue it just flush to the left-hand side. So this is what it looked like. You're going to have about 1/4 inch left on the right-hand side that's open. Okay, so let's do that together. So in the folded position, I'm going to put glue all the way across that 1/4 inch. And then I'm just going to put it down flush on the left-hand side. Trying to get as even and straight as I can. It may be easier to do it like this. There we go. Like I said, you'll have 1/4 inch here that doesn't come together, and that's supposed to happen. So if I flip it over, I'm going to take my clip off now. So when I flip it over, you can kind of see, if you hold it in a certain way, hold it on the right-hand side, and when you open this, you can see that how the mechanism is going to work. So once we put our circles there, that this is going to slide in and out. So go ahead and start sliding that and kind of getting that ready and training that paper to slide in and out. Isn't this cute? This is so neat. I just love this. I don't know who came up with this. I'm not the one to engineer things like this, but I sure love an interactive card. I cannot wait to give one of these to a little kid and then open it and go, how'd you do that? How did you do that? All right, so we're just going to do the same thing again for the second card, so we'll have our bases ready. So one more time, you're going to have the 3 sheets of paper. This one does not have embossing on it. I'm going to start with the one with the 2 circles. I'm going to find the side that has the score line here. Just fold it. Okay. So just fold it in half, and now the opening is on the right-hand side. So we're going to put glue in the closed position all over this, and we're going to glue the one that has 1 circle right over the top of it and try to line that up. So that's all. That's where we are now. Let me grab some water. It is so hot. It's been so hot this week. Makes me so thirsty. Okay. There's glue all over this. And then I'm going to take the piece with 1 hole, place it right over it, however it is that you can line it up the best on the right hand side, and just get a good stick there. Okay. So even though this doesn't have the embossing, you can see that there's a score line, like is it 2 3/4? I can't remember. Yes, over from the side there's a faint score line. So you're just going to start bending and it will find that score line. There we go. And I love a black card base. I know they're hard to write on, like your sentiments and stuff, but there's just something about a black card base that's elegant to me. I think this is fun and unexpected. Okay, so now we're back to this. And we're going to put our last piece on. So I'm going to flip the whole card over. So now my flap is on the right-hand side. I'm just going to do this just so it's easier to show you without that being in my way. And I take my last piece that has that 1/4 inch score line. And I'm just going to work that. So while it's in the closed position, I'm going to put that bead of glue and then put it flush to the left-hand side again. As I get glue everywhere. Can't you imagine Brenda at this point? She was in my class. She keeps threatening to take my class. Her mind will be blown. She'd be like, just put that thing on there. It's too much. It's too much. Of course, she tells me if I have to write, an instruction booklet, it's too much. It's too much for her. So when you turn it back over now and hold it on the right-hand side, you'll see that mechanism as you see that flap come into play. Okay, so we have our card bases made. Easy, right? Easy peasy. Okay, so I'll put this in a safe place, and now we're going to start coloring. I'm going to go back and grab this. Put this on the table here. And
you make the best kits, Kelly
oh,
said.
thank you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to touch up. Let me zoom in and tell me how this looks in a second. Well, let me get it going here in the right spot. Here we go. You'll see it in just a second. Okay.
Amy says hers is not working right. Could you hold yours up again?
Sure. So, oh, hold on. I had zoomed way in. Oh, it's all right. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. I've lost my camera. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. It's coming back online. What I do for trying to get fancy. So, what we did, I think you got probably through the first part. It's probably the second part that messes you up because you just put glue on, let me see, this one here. In the folded position, we put the glue here, and then we flipped it over with the flap here, and then this is how it looks on the back. So this is what you should see. You should see that 1/4 of an inch to the left of the circle. That's why it's so thin, so it doesn't show through that circle. And in the closed position, you do not have any type of flap or score line. And then you, on the left-handed side, you do have a 1/4 of an inch. You can see it doesn't come together. And then you can see my glue right there. So then when I hold it like in my right hand, the pieces on the right hand side, you can see that flap in the back that will change once we put something on it. Okay, so I hope that helped. Let us know if it did not. If there's something else we can do. So we'll try one more time. Zoom in. Okay, because I'm going to start doing some coloring. So on my turtles, I have a little bitty piece right here that really did not show up in black.
Said you think she got it.
Okay, which that should be okay if you folded the flap wrong. I think you can fix that. I'm going to take the very fine side of this and open it, and I'm just going to touch up the edge of my turtle that didn't stamp really well. I really like this the Sharpie fine for this, and it kind of blends in with that VersaFine black onyx. It doesn't stick out. Okay, I'm satisfied with that now. So if you want to grab your colors, unfortunately this set does not give you numbers or names, so I'm just going to do as good a job as I can of kind of telling you the colors that I'm using. I'm going to be using white. Sorry, this is loud. Let me get these out. I'm going to be using white and gray, and there's a pink and a peach color, which I dropped behind me. And I'm going to be using greens on the next one and the yellows on the next one. But you want to get a brown out for like their little feet, which I think it's this one. And I'll kind of show you how I picked them out. So here's my samples here. I can place down here for now. There's 2 or 3 browns. So what you want to do is just on this extra sheet of paper, you just want to scribble and see which brown that you like. And I'll show you the difference. This, you see how that one, this one's a reddish brown, while that one's more of a yellowish brown. Just depends on which one you like better. I'm going to be using that yellowish brown on the turtle and this reddish brown on this one. That's the only way I know how to describe that one. I think there's only 1 gray. There's, of course, 1 white. There's 2 or 3 different pinks. And I think there's 1 peach. And I just picked which ones I wanted to use together. This is what I'm going to use for the ear. Alright, so let's get started. I hope that helped. Let me know if I need to do something else. And make sure I still stay in frame since I've got you so pulled in, zoomed in. Make sure I do this. You know how that goes. That's a disaster waiting to happen if you don't. Okay, what I like to do when I am coloring is I start with a base layer of white, because what you want to do is you want to build up the wax on the paper, and you want to build up your color so that it starts to blend together. So starting with these little hamster guys, I'm literally just going to go all in the body, kind of staying away from the black as much as I can, and just putting a layer of white. So of course you're not going to see anything, but it's putting that waxy, whatever pencils are made out of, that waxy substance on it. And like I said, we are using some paper that's got a little tooth to it. It's that vellum Bristol paper. It's not super smooth, so it's going to grab onto that color, and that's what I like to use for pencils. I'm going to show you on this first one how to color when you really only have 1 pencil to use. Maybe we only have 1 gray, so how do I make dimension and different colors when you only have 1 gray? And on the next one, we do turtles, we've got lots of different greens, so then we'll go over a different way of how you can use those to blend in. So starting with your gray, I'm going to work in circular motions on the body, and I'm just going to lightly start building up color. I'm working on the little bodies of both of them. I'm going to make them both the same color. Yeah, you can kind of see that. I'm going to leave out the center of their faces, It's gonna remain white right around his nose, and I'm not gonna color the ears, but the rest of them, I'm just gonna go around and color it gray, and that's the very first step. That's your first coat of paint, so to speak. And you can kind of see just a faint color. So the next time we're gonna go a little darker. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, how you see how it's very flat. When we add a dark shadow underneath this guy on the left, under his head, how his head is now going to pop out from his body. And you're going to notice a big difference between this one and this one when I do it. So right under his headline, like news, I'm going to make a really dark line. I'm going to make it as dark as I can. I'm pushing really, really hard. Just one like little stroke around the bottom, and now, so you can pull up here, you can see. Can you see how that's almost 3D-ish compared to the other one? So let me know if you can tell the difference or not. So I'm going to do the same thing to the one on the right-hand side. I'm going to put a very dark layer right underneath his head, and you can see now that head is starting to pop out from his body, so to speak. It's not so two-dimensional now. So from there, okay, that's fine. Yes, you can always catch the replay. And like I said, there is a version where I don't talk and answer questions. I just literally just sit and do and talk you through colors. That's coming next week. It's already been sent to May, so they'll send those out. So now on his body, on the bottom, I'm going to go in circular motions, and I'm going to build up another layer of gray. I'm going to do it darker on the bottom. And as I move up his head, I'm going to be lighter, which means I'm not going to put as much pressure. And it's going to start building up color. I'm still not coloring in the center of the face. So darker on the bottom, and then a lighter touch as I go toward the top, because that's where the sun would be. The sun is going to kind of give him a light on the top of his face. And of course, you can see me in this picture, and it's going to be darker around here. So I'm just going to keep building up layers. So at the bottom of his face, I'm putting in more, making it darker, coming up toward the top and getting lighter. Make sure I have this really dark line underneath his head. And I'm building up some layers on the body. So now we need to try and smooth out some of these strokes. Just like if you were painting, you have brush strokes. You can kind of see where I still have the strokes of the pencil. What is that called? Just the like the scribble lines, I guess. So I'm going to take the white, and I'm going to go over it, and I'm going to burnish it. Now, they do make special pencils, of course, for this. But if you didn't have one, you can always use white to do that. So I'm going to concentrate on the one on the left so that you can see a difference with it and the one on the right when I am done. And I'm going over all the gray and the white with this white pencil. And I'm pushing pretty hard. And I'm burnishing those colors into the paper and into each other. I'll pull it up here and see if you can see. Of course, it wants to change the light on me. The difference between the pencil lines on the right and how it's gotten smoother on the left. Now, it's not totally smooth because they do make, like I say, pencils specifically for this purpose, right, to blend it together. But we're going to use what we have, and it works. It does work. All right, I'm going to go back over the one to the left. And I'm going to add a little more because, of course, that white's going to take off some of your color. And this time I'm just barely going to put some gray in the center of his nose. Right there. So now he's got a little bit of gray, but there's that white spot. Now I'm going to go over to the right-hand side, and I'm going to burnish this one now. Burnish, burnish, burnish. So this is kind of like what you would do when you use alcohol markers, a little bit different. Because you are building up layers and you're starting like with darks to go into your mediums and into your lights. But it's a little bit different with pencils. Because with markers you really only have one or two passes. This you can build up lots of color. If you ever seen professionals do it, it is amazing what they can do. Can you imagine Walt Disney used to draw like this and make all his characters? So let's move on from there and let's work on his ears and his feet. So I'm going to start with a peach and a pink. I'm going to take that peach and I'm going to put it right in the center of his ear. Just going to make a little line. I'm not going to cover his whole ear. Just in the center, I'm making like one line right in the front of his ear. Put that one away. Now I'm going to grab my pink, and in that center part of his ear, I'm going to make circular motions. I'm going to circle around that peach where I've got pink all the way around it and peach is in the center. And then I just keep going over it until they kind of look blended in together, so that you almost have one color, but there's a little bit of difference right there in the center. And then I'm going to go back to my gray and do the back of his ear, because it should be the same color as his fur. I'm always afraid I will color it in wrong if I don't wait. So I did that one pretty hard, and now I'm going to do his feet. I'm going to put just brown right on the tips of all their little feet. Uh-oh, pencil broke. So this is kind of where I'm left with. So let me know if you have any questions, if this is helpful to anybody, if this is fun. We're just kind of giving ourselves permission to play right now. So there's a lot of classes that I teach, or some of the classes y'all are taking, that's really intense. Which I've got one of those tomorrow. So this one's kind of fun, just kind of play. Especially with colors, that's fun. Boy, I used to love a new box of colors at school. So here's a turtle. Let's work on the turtle. We're going to use the white again. Let's see what else I need. I'm going to use that yellowish brown that we talked about. All right, swap mine out here. And then there's 3 or 4 different greens. So let's talk about the different greens. There's a neon looking green here. There's like a medium green, almost like, and then there's one that's almost like an olive green. It's like an evergreen. There's one even darker, but I'm not going to be using that one. These are the 3 that I'm going to use. I'm going to use there's 2 yellows. I'm going to be using the darker yellow. And then that one that was that reddish brown, I'm going to use it. I mean the yellowish brown. There is a reddish brown, the yellowish brown, and then the white one. So those are the ones that I'm picking out to work on my turtle. So on the turtle, same thing. I'm going to start with a base layer of white to lay down some of that wax and get this moving where we can actually put down a lot of color. I try to stay away from as much as I can the black, if it's possible, just because I don't want it to smear just in case. All right. Everybody good? You got any questions? I haven't seen anything in a while.
They're working.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like this. I'd be doing it too. I'm like, okay, which one? Which pencil? What is it? I know. I was trying to think, how am I going to tell them which pencil it is? Oh, thank you, Sue. And it's all artwork, right? It's all subjective how we do it. So, this is what we're going to do in the turtle. We're going to start with this little yellow.
Kim's playing catch up.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I'm going to do is, in the turtle shell, I'm going to make small marks right in the center of the turtle shell in each one of those little sections of yellow, just like a dot. You can see what I'm doing here. I'll hold it up on this little baby ones, like that. That's what we're going to start. We're going to start with a dot in each of the little turtle shell sections. Oh, that's hard to say. Okay. We'll do that with yellow.
Which yellow?
Okay, let me look at the other one. I think there are 2, and I think this is the darkest one. Here's the other one. Here's the one I'm not using. You see how it's much lighter than this one? I'm using the darker of the 2. I don't know if you can tell a big difference, but I can, when I look at them, kind of tell. One's a little more orange yellow, and that's the one I'm using. So I put little dots in their shell so far. Christine's got it. Okay. I'm going to hold it up. It want to change the color, doesn't it? Then I'm going to use a little bit of yellow on his body before I put the brown down. So do not go hard on this step. You're just going to put a little bit of yellow in his face and down through his body. You're not even going to color the whole turtle. Mostly on the bottom, a little bit toward the top, very light hand through his body section. That's going to give us something to highlight with. Where the other one had white as a highlight underneath it, this one's going to have a yellow. Okay, just like that. Very light hand. I'll put that yellow away for now. Okay, we'll work on his body first because it's not my favorite part. I love the shell. The shell's so much fun with all the greens. So let's take the brown, and I am using the brown that has, if you were to color with it, it looks almost like yellow has been taken and added brown to it. It's a yellowish brown, and that's the why I chose it, because you see yellow is my bottom layer. So I'm just going to start circular motions, putting down a first layer, doing the same thing I did with the gerbils. I'm going to stay away from that eye area, just kind of leaving that lighter. And the rest of him, I'm going to start putting down the brown all through his body. And out through his tail. Do this little guy right here the same way. Just kind of roughly, medium pressure. Just trying to get a base layer here so we can keep adding layers to it. I think that's one thing why some people shy away from colored pencils, is because it's not a quick process. If you really want it to look, of course mine's not lifelike, but if you really want to use it and make it look like it's not a kindergartner did it right, where it's all just like flat in one color, it takes layering the colors. And it took me a long time in watching other people to realize that. So we're going to do the same thing on the shell that we did with the heads here. We're going to make a line of darker brown underneath the shell to make this shell kind of stand out from the rest of them. Just one line right underneath where the shell is, even though we're not finished coloring. We're going to make this darker around his mouth and up around his head here, because this is the bottom of him, so the sun will be coming from this direction. So this would be in the shadow. So we're going to make this darker. Everything here on the right. I'm doing his little feet. I'm doing his little neck on the bottom. And I'm doing up to his head. And I'm just going to be doing the same thing on the little turtle. It may not be exact with the sun because the turtle's sitting on him, but that's how I look at it. That's how I'm going to do. Okay, so that's pretty dark right there. Alright, so now let's keep putting some more layers on. Now I'm going to use medium pressure, getting lighter toward the top, just adding a little more color, and then the next step is we're going to use that white and we're going to burnish it all together and see if we need to add any more colors to it or if we're good with it. I'm going to make his little leg in the back, the little shorter ones, darker. They would be in the shadows. In the bottom of his tail, even though they're tiny tails, it's hard to see. Okay, we'll take a breath and grab my white and some water. Alright, so since I've been using this white, I'm going to make sure it's clean. I'm going to clean it off. I'm going to go back to the browns here. Starting there, I'm really going to burnish, so I'm pushing pretty hard, almost if I'm trying to break that tip off. I'm pushing pretty hard because I'm going to burnish those colors together and into the paper. So this was a more dramatic change than the last. I'm going to hold it up. Give me just a second. So you can tell a pretty big difference in that top turtle and that bottom turtle. Let's see this here.
Oh, yeah.
From burnishing. So let's do the same thing. I always want to say it's a mama and a baby, but it's supposed to be about friends, so I don't know. So I'm pushing really hard to burnish this in the paper and to get those colors to kind of blend in together where it makes sense. Okay, it almost hurts your hand. You're using it so hard. Okay, and then now I'm going to go back over it just lightly. Of course, the white pencil, of course, takes away some of the color. It makes it lighter, and I just want to add a little more to it. I don't want it to be quite so light. And finish up his body, and we'll come back to that if we think we need some more. I'm going to do his little tail so I didn't burnish it. And I'm going to clean off that white while I'm thinking about it, because next we're going to burnish green in just a second. So I cleaned off the tip. Move that one out of my way. So this is what's fun to me. When you have multiple colors to play with and you can really show somebody what you can do to blend colors together. I'm like, ooh, let me get in my chair. You stand up tall. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to start with your lightest color. And I'm going to go in circular motions around the yellow. You know, we've got yellow dots in there. You might be hard to see, it's so far away. But I'm going to work on each little section of the shell, a section at a time, and I'm going to color in a circle around that yellow. And I'm not going over the yellow yet. I'm just making a circle around the yellow. And it may not cover the whole shell yet, which is fine, because we got other colors to go. So I'm just making a circle, medium intensity here, pushing down, and just going around the yellow. So right now it kind of looks like green eggs or something. Somebody's thinking. And that's exactly what it's going to look like. I promise it's going to look different when we're done. Okay, that's it for that one. You're going to grab your next green color. This little evergreen. It's not that olive one yet. I'm going to do this little evergreen one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going over what I just did, that lighter color. And I'm just kind of blending them together. Going out a little more into the shell, covering it up. Because we're going to use very little of that olive. It's very dark. So this is going to be your major color that you're going to look at, your predominant color. Now I'm going to grab that olive. And I'm going to make a line in the shell, in the bottom of the shell, this little half circle, like a smile, going really lightly. And then I'm going to go in the bottom of each section, just making a line in the bottom of the sections, because that's where the dark would be if light was shining on them, is in the bottoms. So I'm just making a line in each section on the bottom of that olive. That's all I'm going to use of the olive. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the medium color. So this is exactly how you would use alcohol markers. Just go light to dark, dark, back to light, and the light blends everything together. So I'm going to go back. Is this the medium one? Yeah. And I'm going to go over everything one more time. I still hasn't gone over the yellow. I've just been circling around the yellow. But the next one, I'm going to actually go over all of the yellow with the light one. So this light one that's almost lime greenish, this is the last coat before I burnish. So I'm going to go over the whole thing, including the yellow. And now you're going to see the magic of how it all starts coming together. And that yellow is your highlight of the shell. It's not just like sticking out like a sore thumb, like a yolk, in the egg. It's actually just going to be a highlight coming out and making that green pop. Now I'm going over the whole shell in one swoop, not staying in the individual sections, and kind of burnishing together with this. Is that a good wow?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Here.
She's learning something about color.
Oh, good.
Pencils.
So now I'm taking that medium green again, and now I'm doing that smiley face little section. And I'm just coloring the whole thing. It had that little bit of olive at the bottom, and then I'm going back in with my lighter. I'm going to kind of pull those together. It's such a small section, it's kind of hard to even show any differences except at the very bottom. So I just want to make sure that bottom has olive. And underneath the shell, that dark brown, you want to make sure that that's there so that it differentiates the shell from the body, and it kind of pops it out. All right, so I had already cleaned my white off. Now I'm going to go over this whole shell.
Love the turtles.
Oh, see, I love the turtles too. And one of the reasons is I think it's because we had so many greens in our pack that it really made it fun to color. So let me know what you think. Do you think we're done with the coloring? I hope. Oh, thank you, Dee. Now, Dee is like almost a professional artist, so that is a big compliment. Thank you, Dee. You should see some of her drawings. On the cruise ship, she was blowing us away that she could just freehand almost anything.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty amazing. All right. I love alcohol markers. I'm going to be doing a class on that too, I hope, one day. The only thing about doing classes on alcohol markers, it's hard to send the students, a package to teach it because they're so expensive. So it's very difficult, to like, here's the big package. You would kind of have to teach it where you already have colors, and I'm just going to kind of teach you how to use them type thing. And don't let me forget to zoom back out when we're done. But what we're going to do, and you might not even have recognized this in the sample, but you see how it's got a black background? We're going to use this marker and we're going to actually color all that in so it kind of blends in with the page. It doesn't stick out white. So if it was white, if you wanted to leave it that way, this is what it would look like on the black. And then this is what it looks like now with the black background. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take mine using this Sharpie on the big end this time, which is not very big anyway, but the other one was super. And all I'm going to do is literally just start going right around the characters, or these little critters, trying not to come over his feet. And I'm going to color the whole circle all the way out to the end. And I did try to cheat this in my other video and not color all the way out to the end of the circle. I thought, well, it's not going to show, so I won't color that last quarter of an inch or so. But then when you put it on your card and it starts moving, that mechanism, it does stick out because you're seeing it move and that white flashes. So this is just an extra little step, which on a black card, I think it is worth it. It's just going to be, you know, sitting here and coloring, and just a little time consuming, but it's fun to me. I think this will be fun to take in front of the TV. And I like to just go around, of course, the whole critter first, making 1 or 2 passes, and then I can scribble out from there. This is so cute. I really need to try this technique with a May May stamp set that has the sausage dog. I think it's called Trixie's Valentine. Because, you know, we love sausage dogs. That would be so cute to color. Okay, sorry if I get quiet here. Just going to be coloring, and sometimes I put like 2 coats up here when it starts drying. So you'll have to let me know if you think this is worth the time-consuming process of the black. But I think on black paper, to me, it really is. Unusual too, I think. I'm staying in frame barely. So tomorrow we have very long class, prompted memories, but it is going to be awesome. We're going to show a lot of techniques. We're going to make the really cool box, 5 different things to go in it, and then the thing that everybody's been waiting on, I'm sure, is what we call the Make It Go Round, which is now going to be the Make It Marathon, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll get to go to May May's shop tomorrow and help teach that. I'll be teaching 2 of the rounds. And so I saw today on GroupMe where they were trying to convince Vince to do one, because you know that's going to be cute and funny. Sorry, I know I keep getting out of frame. It's not centered on my desk. And of course Brenda will do 2, and those are always fun. You remember when we did the ones in Tennessee and she was making ATCs? They were making such a mess and having such a good time.
Oh, such a good time.
Such a good time.
They turned out good.
Oh, yeah. Really did.
They were beautiful.
She is quite the artist. I was watching her, which one was that yesterday, where they were doing the fall leaves? Oh, the watercolor stamps? Unbelievable. I'm going to get my watercolors back out. I really am. Let's see which stamps I have that can do that technique. I would never have thought about doing that. It's almost like it brings new life to it, especially stamps that have not a lot of open space to it. What would that be called? Stamps that, I don't know, those leaves were perfect for what she was doing. Okay, almost done. There we go. Whew, I feel almost high. All those fumes off that. Here we go. Everybody good? I'm move stuff off my desk here. All right. So now I was talking about if you have your white pen. Okay, good.
Not quite done, she said.
Okay. What I like to do is I like to darken up some of the facial features with that black marker. I just put it away. I don't need it again. And then I like to put a dot of white in their eye. And it does matter where you put it too, I have noticed. So I try to do the best I can. I kind of do it all near the bottom, kind of a little bit off to the right. I don't know why, but since they're looking that way, that seems to look the best. I'm gonna let Kim. Hey Kim, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, I'm sorry, Becky, but yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that you can remake them since you've got the cutting guide with this. All right, so I'm going to take the ultra fine side of this, and I'm going to go back over the eyes. Of course, I went over it, with different colors, and it makes a big difference to make them very dark. You can even do the whiskers and nose if you want, but I'm concentrating on their eyes. Going to make them really dark again. Then I'm going to go back with my white pen. I'm going to make sure it's working by dabbing it on those little black spots on my desk so I can make sure it was working. So then I'm just going to put one dot straight down, straight back up on the bottom right side of the turtle's eye, like that. And I'll kind of bring it up to show you. See if you can see a difference, if you think that makes a difference. And I know I learned this trick from May. She likes to do this too. It really does to me make a difference since I started doing it. Now these eyes are teeny tiny, so you have to be really careful. I'm going to go as close as I can to the bottom and just barely off to the right. And on this one to the left, since he's looking left. So I got one of them off a little bit. So maybe he's like 3 blind mice on that one on this side because it's not in the center. But it'll be okay. I'll just keep this card for me. All right, so we kind of got our elements together. So I'm going to, let me stand up. Sorry, I don't want to mess up my filming. Like I did last time I touching something. There we go. Kind of go back out. And now we can kind of symbol. Okay. So grab one of your bases. I'm going to be starting with the one that has the embossing on it. That's the one I'm going to work on first. Grab my sample here. And this is going to be the ones that we put the critters on. So it's going to look like this. And you're going to need a pencil. So the first step to this is with it in the closed position, you're going to draw a pencil line all around that circle. Just easy peasy all the way around, all the way to the outside of the circle. And so when I open it, without moving that tab, you can see it in the back here. It's kind of hard to see, but in the closed position, you just draw the circle, okay? Flip it over. Oh, no, sorry. I'm wrong. Now you're going to open it so you can see that that flat one underneath it, and so now you're going to draw another circle. So now you have a circle on the flap and the circle on the back. So now you know exactly where you're going to put these that we've been working on here, these circles. Okay. Now, I haven't been telling you where we are in the cutting guide. So, here we go. We should be in the middle of 4. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to start assembling these pieces. So what you put down first is going to be what shows when the card is closed. It's going to be when your card is closed and giving it to your recipient. That's going to be the one that shows right now that we're going to glue down. So just keep that in mind. The one I want to be that is my little hamster guys. So all I did was I flipped my card over. I'll make sure, here's the card closed. I opened up the right flap. And so this is the one on the very back. And so they're going to go here. And I'm going to go ahead and get my glue. And I'm only going to glue like the center really quick down to hold it in place so I can close it and make sure it's centered and exactly where I want it, and it gives me time to kind of move it in that circle to get it centered and that I'm pleased with it. Okay? Because art glitter glue, it will grab on tight. So now that I know exactly where I want it, I'm going to burnish it down, and then I'm going to go back underneath the edges and glue the rest of it. So you don't have to do it like this, but this is the easiest way I have found to make it where it's in the exact spot that you want it to be in. Did anybody getting confused with that? So I'm just going to make sure it's glued down.
Show it from the beginning to where you glued it again.
Okay, so from the front of the card, all I did is open the card to the right so that the left-handed flap was open, and all I did was go ahead and glue down the hamster characters over the circle that we drew. And I just made sure before it glued really well in place I was kind of centered. Now, go ahead and try out your card again. It may get caught right here on this right hand side, or left-handed side, sorry. If you're finding it's doing that, make sure that you have it glued down really well. And if that's not helping, what I did on my last one is I took a piece of Scotch tape and I kind of tore it in half. I took like a half a piece of Scotch tape and I put it down on the left-hand side, right on the edge, and then I burnished it in really well as I could. You're still going to be able to see the tape, but you won't be able to see it when the card is open or closed, but you're still going to be able to see it, you know, with it open like this. I'm going to use the other side of this tape probably, the next one. So now when I open and close it, it's fine. It's not going to catch on anything. There's nothing to catch on because it's got that tape there. So that's the only thing that I found that just kind of might be aggravating if you couldn't get that and it kind of catches on it. So now with this open, now you've got this right-handed flap that you open up. And see, there's your other circle. So this is the one that's going to show when you open the card and it changes. So we're going to put the turtles on this one. I'm going to do the same technique just because it works for me. I'm going to put a little glue in the center to kind of hold it down and kind of center over that circle as best I can. But then I'm going to close my card up and then open it where the flap now is in the circle. And I'm a little bit off, so I'm going to make sure now it is right in the center by pulling on it before that glue dries real well. So now I like that. That's in a good spot. And I open it back up. So I'm just working on the right-handed flap, that little short flap, and gluing that turtle on. This is the one that's going to show when you open the card. I hope everyone's doing okay. And I did provide you like as good of pictures as I could because I knew that this might be a little confusing when you get here. But once you do this first one, that second one is going to be a piece of cake. You're like, oh yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm just going to burnish him on really well. Fold it back up. Isn't this cute? Love, love, love. And people are going to say, how in the world did you do that? It's so cute. Okay, we'll put the other one together, and then we'll just kind of do it. I guess it makes sense to do all the same steps at the same time. So let's put the other one together, and then we'll come back and we'll add the bling and the finishing touches on both cards at the same time. Assembly-wise, what I was trying to think of.
I'm going to give a gift away.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I totally forgot.
5 o'clock.
Because we're almost done, so let's go ahead and give one away, and we'll do one at the end. Thank you for reminding me. I knew I'd forget. So, does this remind anybody of anything? So Maymay has one that looks like a ladybug. Hers looks like this. So cute. So it's a little bitty vacuum. So I'm just going to show you. I have a mushroom I love. So this may be loud in case you're wearing headphones.
Mario Shaughnessy.
Oh, it does remind me. Yeah, it does. That's absolutely. That's so cute. I hadn't thought about that. So, somebody's going to get either this one. I have a little mouse too. So somebody's going to get one of these. We're going to do a drawing. The way we're going to do it is we were provided with a class list and it's numbered. And we're just going to draw a number, or my phone is. Oh, I turned my phone off. That's bad. It's going to give us a random number, and that person is going to win. Turn that on. Put this away. So all of your information comes through Maymay. I don't have any of your information for your protection, of course. So if you don't mind me having your mailing address, I'm going to mail you this prize. So you would have to email me. And it's in the description below this video is my email, but it's lisawisedesigns@gmail.com, but you don't have to remember it. It's in the description, like I say, of the video. Okay, so while my phone is booting up here, let's see if I can get this going again. go. I'm going to go to the randomizer app. How many students do we have?
23.
So number 1 through number 23. And then what the computer picks, it'll tell us number 2, the second student that bought the class, was who?
Kelly Henley.
Kelly Henley. Congratulations.
Henry.
Oh, Henry.
Henry.
Kelly Henry. Henry, sorry. I think they might have misspelled your name on my roll because it looks funny, but it's Henry. So you'll need to send me an email with your mailing address as long as you don't mind me having that. And I'm going to send you one of those little back-ends. It'll be a surprise which one it is. So while I'm taking a little break, I wanted to show you, Kim, so congratulations, Kelly. I wanted to show you what I've been working on my YouTube channel, on my Etsy shop. I have got some kits for sale and tutorials if you want to use your own paper, where you can make a fall crate that's got, you know, these cute little twine handles, or a Christmas crate that's got these mini drawer pulls on it. And they both have a different mini album in them that you can make. And I go through the whole process on YouTube, but if you want to get a kit with everything in it that you need to make these, except for your tools, everything else is included. Chipboard and cardstock and the pattern paper and stickers and whatever you need. All these different seam bindings. But anyway, so they will fit in each other too. So you would have, you know, one of each type of these mini albums. We'll move this out of the way. And my most popular one, which I was shocked, was the recipe album. I had to reorder and restock. I could not believe how well this went over. But I always wanted to make a recipe album for my family's historic or family tradition recipes, not one for every day, but stuff we would make at Christmas and things. So I asked my sister and my mom, different people in my family, to write down the recipes that we use at Christmas and Thanksgiving. And things like that. That's only, you know, usually only in our family, like fried cornbread. And I found a recipe from my grandmother. It's like a copy of a copy, but it's in her handwriting. And that's just so special to me. So if you wanted to make something like this, I've got these kits. Only a handful left of this one. But I do have a few of those. And my Etsy shop is linked down below. Sorry, that's my little commercial. And then we'll go back to this. Don't let me forget at the end to do one more drawing. Okay. So we had this one put together. Let's put together the other one. I probably hid it for myself. Here we go. All right. So this one we're going to say, thanks for being there. I'm so lucky to have you. We're going to do the same steps. We're going to start in the closed position and we're going to draw the circle. And then we're going to open it where that little tab comes out. And we're going to draw a circle. Okay. So now I'm going to flip it over to the back. So with this tab on the left, this is the one that's going to show first. So it depends on how I want to see it. I think last time I put thanks for being there when it's closed. And then I'm so lucky to have you once it's opened. So I'm just gluing it right where that circle was, kind of in the center, closing it. Oh, I actually got it that time pretty well. Then I'm just going to go back and do the edges as I make a mess with my glue. You know, I tried to do it where I glued it down the whole thing, and art glitter glue dries so quick that when I had so much of it, I did not have any wiggle room. I guess that's the good and the bad side of it here. And since I have that half a piece of tape still left, I'm going to go ahead and put it right on the edge of this and burnish it down really well so that I'm just go ahead and not have that problem here. So when I open it, it's not going to catch, so that's great. So we got it back in the same position. Now I'm going to open this right hand side where the circle was, and I'm going to put I'm so lucky to have you. Just kind of put it in the right spot as best I can, and fold it all back up, and then open it and see if it's in the center. So that one's pretty good too. I guess practice makes perfect. I got those. Or maybe they're just smaller, so it's easier to get in the circle where the critters are a little bigger. I'm just going to burnish those into place. Let me know if you're not doing okay. If anybody needs any help. Good. You'll get this, Becky. And if you need any other help, just reach out to me. You can email me, Lisa Wise Designs, or you can get me on Facebook. I'll be very glad to help you if you need anything after this. So to finish this one up, let's go ahead and start decorating. This one and this one.
Kathy had a good suggestion. You can always use temporary adhesive.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I need to get some. I used to have the temporary adhesive runner, and I have run out, but that is a good suggestion too. I know a lot of people use the glue stick that's repositionable. So let's see. So we're in the home stretch. We're just going to do some final touches here. So I'm going to go back to the one that has the embossing on it, and we're going to use that foam. I must be tired. I'm like, what is this? The foam that we have. And I'm just going to, you can see it comes in like 4 pieces. So I'm just going to take one of those 4 pieces off. Here. Okay. So this is the only time I'm going to use it on the outside of the card because it's not going to do really well on the inside. There's already too much going on. And then I'm going to cut that straight down in half, and I'm going to pop up this little BFF sign. And it's going to be on the front of the card. You can even ink the edges to this BFF if you want to, but I just didn't find it necessary on here. And then when you open it, so now the turtles are going to say, I got your back, which is so perfect because it's sitting on his back. So this one I'm going to use art glitter glue. Maybe. Guess I let it sit too long. Here we go. So cute. Love. Okay, there's that one. Then also in your goodies, you had this long ribbon tail piece. So if you want to, you can glue that right underneath all the way over to the right, or you could do it to the left on the score line. I like it like this. You could glue that one down, and that's where you could do your writing if you just wanted to put something like Love, Lisa, or anything there. That's where I would do my writing. I'm going to turn my watch off. It is going crazy since I turned my phone back on. There we go. Cute, cute, cute. Now, you also, all of your goodies here. I'm going to go ahead and get everything out. This is for the next card. All these little red, white, black pieces. You got 2 little bitty hearts, so don't lose those here. And then, okay, so you're going to take this twine and you're just going to cut it in half. We're going to use half on each card. That's easier said than done here. Alright, so what I'd like to do is I just wanted to add a little something to this, some interest. And I just ran it through the side, the opening of that little hole on the front, and just simply tied a bow.
Could you slowly open it, please?
Oh, yeah. This one says BFF. I'm going to hold it up here. This is I got your back. When you open it, the turtle appears. I'm just going to tie a little bow. And this is like the very worst thing you could do while you're trying to teach is tie a bow. I can never get it right. Most of the time, it ends up like this, top and bottom on mine. I'm just a terrible bow tire. And even when I tie it backwards and try to make it work, sometimes I can and not. So one of my cards, I actually left it like this, like it was the design element I meant to do that. I'm like, let's go. I like that. It's cute. It actually is not bad looking between these two. So just to add a little bling bling to this, I think you should have 6 pieces. And all I did is somewhere near the bottom right hand side, underneath the little circle here, I just lined up 3 of these little blings. And I think that really kind of helps bring something to it. Uh-oh, except mine is not in a line anymore. Here we go. You can see the difference here. One is right underneath the circle, one's off to the side. Okay, so that one is done. So let's put together the one that's kind of an ode to May May. says thanks for being there. So this was cut on the Cricut. It's got all these little pieces. Let me grab my little cream piece of paper again so you can see.
What page are you on?
I don't. There's a picture at the very bottom of 5 of all the pieces for the May card, inspired one, and so that's the one I'm working on now. And then on the back, it shows you if it was all put together, what it would look like right here. So, good question. So you're going to use this little black blobby thing, looking here, so you can see this is going to be where your hearts go. If you take a look at it, you'll know which side then to use. Your hearts are going right here off to the right. So that's your base. You're going to have the red piece, and it does go a certain way. So you might have to flip it over. You might have to turn it around like I'm having to do here until it lines up. So now mine exactly lines up. And then here's your BFF. It's going to line up here. So the white and the red will exactly line up, so all you see is the red there. And once we have this glued down, then we will glue the hearts on there. They'll go next. So let's do this piece first. Start with the red once you know you've got it on the right side, because it's kind of hard to see. It's like a cloud, but strange. Okay, there we go. And the BFF. So this was a file in Cricut, this BFF part of this, that was I won't say it's free, but if you have Cricut access, like if you pay for that monthly subscription, it comes free with that. I like using. I've really been watching. I was saying yesterday, Melody Lane a lot. I met her at the last MadeItCon in Tennessee, and since then, she was so down to earth and nice. And since then, I've been watching her, and I have learned so much. So now I'm going with the bigger heart, and it's going to go right above, or right between the B and the F, and you can kind of see exactly where it fits in that black right there. And then the teeny tiny red heart will go on this top piece. It's a little more difficult to hang on to. Okay, I'll hold it up just a second. There's a really good picture of it on the last page, but it's hard to see black on black on there, so there you go.
Yeah.
So now grab that other card base. We're going to use that black and white zebra print, and it should be cut to fit exactly on your card front. If it's not, trim it up a little bit, but it should be. And I'm just going to center it between the bottom of this, the circle, and the bottom of the card. Just going to eyeball it. So these were kind of the scraps we had left over from, I think, last MadeItCon. I really want to use up every bit of the zebra paper because it was kind of difficult, to find exactly what we wanted. And so this was a good way to bring a little bit of that zebra print in to this card without having to have a ton of it. So I'm just going to clip mine together because it keeps wanting to pop up while I'm showing it to you. And then you can just kind of decide where you want your BFF on this side. So I'm going to glue it on the left-handed side. And then I just decided to do the same thing with the bling toward the right-hand side to kind of pull your eye over there. So I am going to line up just kind of the center toward the very right-hand side of that zebra strip. Bling just adds a little something, something. And if you notice, this bling is very different. It has a tiny piece of foam on it. I've never seen any like that. It seems to stick much better, and it gives a tiny bit more dimension. I'm not sure why or how I wound up with that, but I love it. And if you want to do the same thing with this twine, or you can tie a bow and then just glue it on. But I'm going to do the same thing. We'll see if I do a little bit better job with my bow. I'll keep my fingers crossed. I watched a lady in class one time that always told me to tie it backwards. That when I was used to come up from the top and back around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I get it, sometimes not. Hold my breath here.
Do a dress bow like that on a dress on a child.
So see, when I think about it and tie it backwards than what I normally would on my shoes, and I'm not even sure how to explain that when I say tie it backwards, it works. You can see this bow is exactly, I don't know if you can see it, like a real bow shape.
Oh, better.
We don't have as much delay this time, do we?
Mm-mm.
You can kind of see it there. And if you want to use that other white piece on the inside again so that you have somewhere to write, we'll go ahead and put that on here. So did anybody learn anything? It was a very quiet class, kind of laid back, kind of different for me. Usually I'm like, okay, and put this here and A and B and do this, and put this flap and 45-degree angles. But I really liked it. I love to color, and I love interactive cards. I think this is really fun. You'll see a lot of interactive cards on my YouTube channel here lately. I've really been concentrating on those a lot lately. So let's make sure before I forget to do another drawing. I'm going to give away another vacuum. And let's see, go back to randomizer. I'm going to make sure I zero everything out. Alright, so we're starting at 0. So number 1 through, tell me again, sorry. 23. Alright. Number, who was the 12th person that bought their ticket? Let me see. Maya? LaBuffrey maybe? I'm sorry if I misspelled that, but it's definitely Maya. You have won. Congratulations. So, like I say, all the information comes from May, so I don't have it. So please send me an email to lisawisedesigns@gmail.com, and that is below this video. That gives me just tell me who your name is, and I'll know exactly why, and give me your shipping address, and I will send you a vacuum. Oh, yes. Yes, Sue, I love interactive cards. Michelle saying, do you glue the back flap? Okay, let's turn that back over. Let me see if I have one. Okay, that doesn't have everything on it. Let's go back to this. So this is before we glued the flap on. So yes, this is exactly where we started when we glued, the 2-hole one to the 1 hole. It looked like this. So then the next step was to flip it all the way over to the back. You can see where mine I ripped it off for some reason. I was working on it. So yes, in the folded position, I may have another one. Give me 1 second. Let me look through my extras. I do, yay. So here's the other side to that. So you have this tiny 1/4 inch score line that you would fold on. And in this folded position, you'd put the glue on it and then simply put it straight down onto your project all the way over to the left. So when you open it, you will see that 1/4 inch sticking down on the card right there. When you close it, you won't see it. It'll be straight, and you'll have a 1/4 inch open right here. I hope that helps. Oh, Melanie, you're here in place of Maya? Okay. Did you write her name down?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so make sure you send me an email so I won't have to try and run y'all down through May. Anybody have any last minute questions? Oh, thank you, Kathy. I'm glad this is relaxing. Thank you, Dee, for being here, and Becky. Thank you, Becky, that you like these. Yes, your grandchildren will absolutely love these. Kelly. Thanks for y'all being here. And so I'll see some of you tomorrow. I'll be starting at 9 o'clock, going 4 hours doing prompted memory. It's just going to be a really, really cool class. Thank you for being here. Anything before we go? I think we're good. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and then at the Make It Go Round or the Make It Marathon. Bye, guys.